Today, we're going to talk about pages. Pages define the paths, and they define what actually renders at the paths. So these actually create your site's true routing structure. And they're also very important to determine if you have dynamic paths, say a blog article, and you want this to be a dynamic segment to pull in the blog slug that you want to route to the database, or if you want to include search params, where you can do different types of search filters and maybe define which page you're on or how many per page. All of that is dictated by your pages. There's a lot to cover here, so let's dive in. Let's look at the home page, and every site ships with a home page. It's the home page because we name it home, and it's the home page because it's at the // Now technically, we could name this something else, and it doesn't really matter because this is just a label just to be helpful. It's the fact that it's at the / path that makes it the default index page that loads whenever you visit your site. So you can easily create more pages. And as you'll see here, pages get created inside of the site. And you learned in the video on layouts that pages render into the page slot on a layout. So this home page is rendering between this navbar and this footer because that's where the page slot is. So let's create another page, and you can do that by going here, clicking add a blank page, and there you have it. We could also come here and duplicate a page to get a second one. And you can see it couldn't create another page at /, so it created one at home too. So there's many different ways you can create pages, and we can call this one, for example, about. And by setting the path, that sets the path up here, and now we have a second page that's at /about, and we have a third page at /page, which has no content on it. Let's go ahead and put a header on this page. And there we have it, right between right in the slot on the layout. Now you can see here, this is our site navigator. You can click on your layout, and if you click on your pages, we'll see that the route changes, and you'll see that the page changes. This is the about page. So you can see if I click here, we're on home. If I click here, we're on about. If I click here, we're on page. So you can use the site navigator to navigate around, and that's all fine. And you probably want to make these links actually work. So we'll call this one home. We'll call this one about, and we'll call this one page. Now that just changed the text. We actually want to change the link. So I could either move my mouse here and click on the actual link, or if you do have to click on the text, hit the up arrow on your keyboard. That will cause you to move up, and you can easily select the href on the link. And what's nice about pages is they show up in this drop down. So we can say that this is home, and we can say this one is about, and we can say this one is page. And now, of course, if we go to home, about, and page, they are now routable. So there you have it. I've set up our site, we've set up our links, and it's all working and it's all routing appropriately. One really cool thing to note is the navbar up here is not actually re-rendering, and the footer down here is not re-rendering. Only the middle of the page is rendering, because that's one of the cool things about pages and slide layouts. Only the pages need to route, the layouts can stay static. Now you can actually set different styles on different pages. So if you click on the page, you'll notice stylable, very similar to layouts. On our homepage, for example, we could change our default typography color, and we'll just make it this cool dark shade of blue. But you'll notice that on our other pages, that doesn't take effect. So if there's things that you want to do, different settings that you want to set on your pages, you can do that here on a page by page basis. You can also set different pages to different color schemes if you are using dark mode. And we'll cover dark mode in depth on a different video, but that is something else you can do here, similar to layouts, where you can set a color scheme. You can do it at the page level. If you create a page that you really like, you can right click it and you can add it to your library. And if you do that, you can insert the page Here it is, and we can make a copy of it. So you can create a library of page templates that are all fully set up. And if you then later on publish as a library, then anybody who installs that library will get your page template. You can also set a page into draft mode. And if you do this, say we're working on a draft copy of a new home page, we could set this one in a draft mode and work on it, and we can safely publish our site. The draft mode pages won't go with it. So it's a good way to draft a new copy, draft a preview of something. If you're going to make a template, you can make an instructions page that you don't have to worry about being published with the rest of your site. All right, so now we're going to get into the kind of more advanced topics here. And one of those is going to be paths. So far, we've only created pages with static paths, but you can create pages that have dynamic paths. So let's go create one that's at /people, and then we'll put ID, and we're going to create a page and we'll put a default ID of 1. And what we're going to do here is we're going to make this page pull in the Star Wars character that we provide. And to do that, we're going to create a new query. And on this, there's this placeholder, and we're just going to quickly ask our Copilot in edit mode. And let's go find a Star Wars API. All right, so we're going to use this Star Wars API here. And let's just tell it to @fetch Star Wars API. Please create a function to get a person by ID. All right, that looks great. So we'll go back here and we'll go to our data and we'll add that new get Star Wars person, and we need the ID here. So if I type in number 1, you can see that the information from Luke Skywalker shows up. So we need this number 1 to come from up here. So what we'll do now is we will click here and we can twirl open our params, and you're going to see ID shows up, and we combine that together. And that's one of the cool things about pages are dynamic segments, and you can create multiple dynamic segments. So in this case, we only need /ID, but you could do another one /ID, and you could do /universe, and you could get another value here, and then both of these would show up in the binding menu. However, we don't need this, so we're going to remove that. And the default ID, what that does is it sets an ID that if you leave and then you come back, it needs to know a number to stick in here. It's the default ID. We'll just default to 1. That's just a convenience feature. It's nothing that actually gets published. And so you can see that the page gives us the dynamic segment that can flow in. And so we can go ahead and change this to 2. And that's C3PO, 3, and that's R2D2. You can see that the dynamic segment is actually properly flowing into the get Star Wars data ID that we stuck on the page. What if this was a list page? We'll duplicate this page, and I want this one to be people without an ID. So that data connector is not going to work anymore because it needs that ID. Let's open our code back up, and let's say I'd like a function that fetches all people, but with a limit parameter. So we'll hit keep, and we'll save this. We'll go back, and we'll change this query out to get all Star Wars people. And in this case, it's going to be quite a few people. So that's why we wanted to limit it with a number. And for that, we'll use a search param. So we'll do question, and we'll do limit, and we'll do equals 5. We'll go to get Star Wars people, and we'll come here to this limit. And you can see our search params, and it's 5 is the limit. ID 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And that's the end. We could change this to limit is 1. And now we only have Luke. So you can see here, that's another thing that you can configure through here. You can set those search params. Now they don't actually have to be configured, but they do just work through your page. They work off your page path. and those get configured to pass in to your data. All right, so there you have it. Pages dictate and create your sitemap and structure. Pages render inside of layout slots, and you can make many more layouts. There's a separate video on layouts that you can watch. Pages are the only part that reload when you navigate. So as you navigate through here, only the page in the middle reloads. You can set different styles on different pages, and they act as default styles that cascade down. Your links map to the pages. You can create dynamic segments, which is what we did here. We created a dynamic segment, and the dynamic part of the path, you can now pass into things like data functions. You can create search params, which you can also pass into data functions. You can put pages into draft mode, and you can put them in your library. So that's everything about pages. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, please ask in the comments. And if you want more help, please join our Discord, and I'll see you on the next one.